Good morning, America and the world. This is Al Otero welcoming you to our weekly Success Stories TV show, which is featuring amazing, incredible people from the US and other countries. We just keep going to different countries all the time, so I don't even know what time it is around the world. But we are so excited for today because we have a very special lady. I'm going to introduce you to our CEO, Maria Renee Davila.
Good morning, Al. Good morning, everybody. Yes, we're super excited like every Friday because we have a special guest. And today is not an exception. Actually, this is not just a special guest, but it's a very good friend from the Chamber and the Success of Women in Business. She has been a very good presenter and speaker in different shows at the roadshow that we have been doing, the Women Business Expo. She became a very, I would say, a member of the family and the network of our sisterhood. She also received an award in our recent convention, our Global Trade Convention in Puerto Rico. She's a talented lady, young, very successful. And without major introduction, let me welcome Bazal.
Thank you so much. Good to be here. Always happy to see you guys.
You look great. You look younger all the time. I don't know what you're drinking, but we should get some of that.
Thank you. Thank you.
So, Basal, tell us in a little summary about what your business does, because that's the most important part of this. Is you are touching so many lives with your expertise. Tell us what your company does.
Okay. So what we do at Empire Central Financial, we help women business owners with protecting their income, with retirement planning, and with a lot of the business planning aspect of side, so tax planning, tax strategies. What we want to do in our company, it's not just providing the service, but providing that encouragement and that empowerment for women to take care of their finances and understand and be aware of everything that happens in their finances. So, one of the biggest things is that we know that women have a tendency to be taking care of their both home and business finances more and more each year. But the education for financial literacy is limited to women, and culturally, especially with cultures that are, minorities, we tend not to educate women on the financial decisions or the financial nuances. And I want to change that. I want to create an area and a safe space for both women to learn, which I love that you guys create a platform where I can do that and come in and talk to women
Yes.
about, disability insurance, talk about annuities, about estate planning, and talk about all the different aspects of protecting their income while they're working, but also creating a retirement plan that's both secure. Unlike Social Security, that's happening right now, where Social Security is just not paying out anymore, or they're taking money back because they overpaid. I want to create a place where you no longer have to stress about all of that, no longer have to worry about all of that, but you know that not only are you protected and is your future protected, but your family is as well. And you know that the person you're going to for advice or for certain things, they're on your side and on your team, and they have your best interest at heart.
How so the baby of the house with you?
That's one of our partners.
This is our mascot, Prince. He just likes to come in and say hi.
I
You
love
have
it.
also a new baby here in the office, right? Al?
Yes, your
Oh my
sister has a
goodness.
little one dog that goes 200 miles an hour around the office.
Oh, Zumi.
But Bazal, what you were saying about the concept you have about the retirement and all the planning that involved that is extremely important. When you are young, you don't really think too much about what is gonna happen when you get older, old I mean, or when you retire, when you stop working. You just go sometimes day by day.
Yeah.
Um, but is so important, and especially for the, I will say, the women in business in general. You know, we are working every day without thinking about what is going to happen in the future. And sometimes we do, but we don't do too much about it because we are thinking, oh, you know, we're going to have the social security and that's not going to be enough. Or maybe if I'm working, I don't know, full time for a company, the company is going to pay me some retirement, but it's not going to be enough. So basically, what I believe that is important is to think about how much we're gonna need when you retire. And I guess that is based on the age, right, Basal?
It's based on the age, but it's also going to be based on a few different factors. So it's going to be what your retirement life looks like. So if I say that my retirement looks like I'm going to move, I'm going to get a smaller house in the middle of nowhere, I'm going to have lots of animals, I'm going to have a lot of freedom, I'm going to travel a lot, then I'm going to have to plan my retirement goal based on the cost of traveling, of the new house, of the relocation, of taking care of those animals that I plan to have. And so my goal and my plan is going to look very different from someone who's going to be like, well, I'm going to live with my kids and, I'm going to just kind of stay at home and help take care of their kids and kind of chill at home. So your retirement plan is going to look a little different based on what your goals are, and it's going to look a little different based on where you live. So, right
Mhm.
now, where I live in Dallas, the price of homes are very, very high and they're skyrocketing, right? But if I go to somewhere like Houston where the prices are a bit lower, then I'm going to have a little less to worry about in retirement. I know that by the time I go into retirement, the prices aren't going to be as high over there as it is over here.
Wow. One of the questions that I've had, Marcel, in the past is, should I rent or buy a house? And I have different answers from everybody, even accountants. One accountant said, I don't want to buy a house. I can just rent. And he's making a lot of money. So what do you think?
Okay, so I think the reason why you get a lot of different answers is because for each person it's going to be very different, and everyone answers based on their personal opinion or their personal experiences.
Mm.
But actually just recently I read a book from Dad and Poor Dad. It's the cash flow quadrant, and the way he puts it is the best. I think the best way to explain the situation is the way he did it. And it's that when you buy a house, you're assuming that you're owning the house, so it's your asset. But in reality, when you're doing your like actual budgeting and you're doing your profit and loss, it actually doesn't come under asset for you when you're filing your taxes. It comes under liability because you're paying the mortgage company, you're paying,
Mm.
your utilities, you're paying your bills. So you're actually spending more money once you own the house than you were before you did. And
Mm.
then you have the fact that the bank actually has your house as an asset because
Wow.
you're paying them the mortgage. So they have income coming in. So for them, it's an asset. For you, it's a liability.
Wow.
Owning your own
Asset
house
once
is a
you finish
personal choice.
paying, that
Sorry?
it becomes an asset when you finish paying.
No, because then it's still not bringing you money. It's still taking money from you. So that's one of the nuances that yes, it's no longer an asset in the bank once you finish paying, but it is still a liability on your part because there's depreciation, there's still bills, you're still doing repairs, but
Hmm.
it's not building income and generating income for you. So it's not really an asset until you pass away. And that's not the best asset to have.
A little bit late.
Yeah, a little late. So I think the best approach, owning property is a great asset when it's rental property and it's generating income for you. But when it comes to owning your own property, and I say this owning my house too, so it is better to rent and then have rental income coming in from your own rental properties than to own a house and have that as a liability because the expenses you're paying for, you don't have
Wow.
anyone covering any of the repairs or the maintenance.
Sure.
And, the HOA fees are there, your
Yep.
property taxes there. There are a lot of things that people forget to account for when they're doing their budgeting for owning a home. And I think it's just very expensive to, not even benefit from it in the long run until, and even your family then, has to pay through, unless it's in a trust. If you do it, your proper estate planning, then your family does benefit from it a little bit if they rent it out rather than live in it. But
Wow.
if you want it to be an asset while you're alive, I highly recommend getting rental properties rather than owning your own home.
So basically, what Basal is saying is that it's better to buy a house to make it work like a renting the place, and then you rent another place to live, right?
Yes.
So basically, that's what she's saying.
Wow. What a perspective. I
Eventually,
love it.
you retire and you're tired of renting, so you go to the property that you bought and you
Yeah.
live 4 years. Um, Something that is also
Mm.
important to understand is about the. I know that every case is different, but in general, I was reading the other day an article about how much money you really need to retire. Well, this article was very pessimist, and I don't know if it was realistic or pessimist, but according to this article, you actually to have a decent life, decent retirement life, you're gonna need to have about $1 million. What do you think about that?
1 million or 1 billion?
1 million, 1 million.
1 million? Actually, I think that is very little. Because, you have to take into account, like I mentioned, lifestyle, and you have to take into account, I think that's actually quite, I'm surprised that they would say 1 million at this day and age. I
Do you
wouldn't.
think it's 1 billion?
It's
Yeah.
way too low. If it's 1 million, I definitely think it's too low. I think, again, like you said, this is very general. Everyone is different depending on their goals, their lifestyle, their choices for retirement. But I also don't think it's impossible to make more than 1 million for retirement income. I think it depends on what kind of assets you're collecting and what kind of retirement systems you're using. So like 401k is a little risky just because, you're trusting in the market and you're trusting in the rise and fall of the market and you're expecting people to know what will happen. However, like what we provide is annuities and life insurance with a retirement payout. So you could get, and the premiums are actually not that high. So if I put $100,000 in an annuity today, I could actually, by the time I start to retire, may have a retirement income, a monthly income of, a 300, 400,000 per month depending on the policy and the way it's set up. This is very general. I would have to do it based on their age and everything. So like I'm 32. So for me, by the time I retire, because I have that time to build up, my 100K will actually by the time I'm done getting paid out throughout my retirement, could actually get 23 million, 30 million paid out for my entire retirement
No.
time frame.
Wow.
So what
Um,
Maria.
you put 100,000?
Yeah, you put in 100,000 into the policy, that's your premium. And then by the time it like grows, because it's a protected asset, so it is an investment, but it is a protected investment that when the market falls, your your base policy, your premiums aren't losing money. So if you gain, if it's say like the market lost 23% 1 year, your base is at zero. So you didn't lose anything, you just didn't gain anything that year. But then the next year, say the market went up 10%, then it goes up 10%, and then that becomes your base for the next year. So you don't lose that 10% either the next year. You keep that 10% and it keeps growing. So the
What
reason
did
why
you
it's
call that
protected,
annuity?
yeah, it's
What
an
was the name of
annuity.
that? What's the
Sorry.
name of the annuity? Is it different types of annuities or there's just one type of annuity?
No, there's different types of annuity. It's gonna depend on your policy and what's best for you. So what we use is the Allianz, and the reason why we use Allianz is because Allianz has the option to lock your rate anytime during the year. So say at in June it's at 12%, but in September, it's at 6%. But you locked it
Okay.
at 12%. At the end of the year in December, you still get the 12%, even if the market is down to 6% for the year, because you
That's
got to
amazing.
lock it. So we like Allianz for that specifically. And that's what we use.
And what is
And
the minimum amount you would you recommend to do this investment, this type of investments in annuities?
it will depend on the person's income. It'll depend on their savings. I'll always say don't invest unless you already have your emergency savings in place. Always make sure you have everything that you need, your disability insurance, your business expense insurance if you're a business owner. Make sure you have your income protected first. You have your emergency savings first, and then do annuities, life insurance, and all of that to get started
I
with your
heard there's some type of life insurance with retirement options, right?
Yes. So there is IUL, which is your indexed universal life, and you have two options in it. You can either do it for the death benefit or do it for retirement. Now, the retirement plan still has a death benefit. The only difference is that it builds up the cash flow inside your policy to the point where it actually pays you out during retirement as well. And then whatever you didn't use during your retirement, that plus your death benefit that has been fixed will be paid to your beneficiaries.
Wow, so many things that we have to learn right now.
Are you writing a book or did you write a book, Bazal? I mean, I'd be the first one to buy it.
I am actually working on my book right now.
Wow, woo, congratulations. I'm
We're
gonna
gonna
buy.
put me down for a book, please.
Of course, definitely. You guys will be the first to know.
Listen, what is the minimum investment for an annuity? Do they have a minimum? Can you put 10, 20, 30? What?
So it depends on your policy. Some, yes, you can do a minimum of 10,000.
Okay.
Um, I there are other policies that if you can't afford that right away and you need a little break, what it does is either you can do a one-time payment annuity or you could do a 2 year. So you can pay premiums up to 2 years, and then after those
Okay.
2 years, whatever is put in, that's your base amount. Or you could do like a build up kind of like how life insurance is, where throughout the years you can put it in. So there are different policies for different situations, and we
Wow.
can help guide through that situation and be like, okay, this is what's best for you. This is what I think, will be the best approach on your aspect if that's what you're interested in.
One last
Let's
question
see the winning
before
with
I
a
give the
dollar,
floor to
maybe.
Maria. What is the earliest that you can take money out of the annuity? What is the age?
Age 60.
60. That's still not bad because
Yeah.
now some things are 70, 75.
Yeah, so it
It's not bad
depends
at
on
all.
when you're getting the policy. It could be either age 60 or age 65, depending on that. And,
Okay.
we will help you determine when the best time to start taking money out is based
Will that
on
impact your Social Security payments because you're getting that or no?
no, because it's a protected thing. But
Maria,
Social
you're all
Security,
set.
just for the record, is actually running out of money. So they might not be able to keep their promises anymore.
Can you
Uh-oh.
pass the annuities to your family, your kids, or that's only for you?
Yes, you can create a beneficiary for your annuities as well.
That's very interesting. What about other type of investments, Baza, like, I don't know, the stock market, for example?
I actually do not participate in the stock market and do investments just because it's not secure. So I can't guarantee anything for my clients in that aspect. And you do need a securities license to do that, and I kind of just don't feel like it's beneficial enough for my clients to participate. The biggest problem with the stock market is that yes, if you know what you're doing and if you have enough time to do it, it can be beneficial and it can make you money. But one, there's a lot of risk involved, and you have to first see how risk adverse you are before you decide what stocks to invest in, what not to. You have to be monitoring it at all times. You have to learn how to invest and you have to be willing to lose money. Now, my thing is, I love taking risks, but I hate losing money. I work way too hard for my money to be willing to
Good
lose
for
it.
you.
So I prefer my secure investments over stocks and brokers. Although I do have my stocks, I have a few small ones that I like to stick to. but I wouldn't recommend it for anyone who wants a secure retirement. And if you're looking for passive income while you're working, I think the best is learning how to invest using your Roth IRA in a solo Roth IRA where you get to choose what you're investing in. But I would invest in businesses that you know and that you can research. And I would recommend doing private investments rather than market investments.
Private investments,
Wow.
that's interesting. But it's risky too, right? Because you can take the chance that they don't give you the money back or not.
Yes, so it's still a risk, but if you structure it correctly and you plan it properly, it would actually put the risk on the person that's borrowing the money more than you. While in the market, you have no control of that conversation or that contract. So you're less likely if the stock falls, even if the company is doing well, you lost that money. But then if you're doing a private investment, the private investment is based on how the company is doing, and you get to actually go back and look into their profit and loss statement, their budgeting statement, their income statement. You can take a look at the person themselves, get to know them. Are they good at running a business? Do they have the
Mm.
right systems in place? Do they have a good structure and an understanding of business to grow their business and do well? So because it's based on actually the success of the company rather than the market, it's a little more secure and you have a little more control in what you're doing. But again, any investment, you have to learn investments and understand businesses before you can get into that.
Wow, very
Wow.
interesting.
I'm
Um,
overwhelmed here.
even though I understand that every case is different and you cannot talk about a specific amount in dollars, but let's talk about percentages. How much percentage people should be destinating for savings or for their retirement, or how that part um, would you recommend to people to do?
20%. So 20% of your income should be going into your retirement planning and savings. Um, Again, start with emergency savings. Make sure you have, I would say, I know normally anyone in the financial industry will say anywhere from 3 to 6 months of savings. I would say maybe 9 months is a good idea of say emergency savings, just because medical expenses are very high now.
Mm.
Um, Living expenses are super high now. And, finding a job in a recession or a depression is very difficult. And because a lot of people are losing their jobs and it's harder to find jobs because there's a lot of people in the market now, it's better to have at least 9 months of emergency savings just to be on the safe side.
Wow. Two questions. What do
Yes.
you think about CDs, the high interest CDs now?
Um, I don't really have an opinion on them. They come and go. Right now, I generally don't really care for them just because I feel like their interest is not it's not guaranteed. And while they are protected, I tend to steer away from those.
Okay,
Uh, and that's just a personal preference, and it depends on your
that's fine.
financial planner whether they trust it or not. I just generally steer away.
And mutual funds?
Mutual funds, I don't really have an experience in them. I'm not really in the investment side.
Sure.
Um, but yeah, I mean, I don't really, I care more for, I prefer business investments. That's kind of where my strong suit is.
Okay.
Uh, and I just, anything trusting the government with anything is not really my favorite thing in the world. I mean, they already disappointed us with Social Security, so I don't know if I want to trust them with anything.
Where everything was out. It's horrible.
So
Wow,
basically,
this is
Bazal, you recommend more like annuities. That's your
Yeah, I recommend annuities. I recommend life policies. Just because they're protected, they have a base floor. Their interest, the interest rate on growing is a lot higher. The chances of you making more money off of them is higher. If you want something a little safer but a little different, then yeah, mutual funds and CDs are okay, but their interest rates are never really that great and they don't last that long. And they're more what I like to think as pop culture kind of investments. They're popular, then everybody invests, and then people forget they exist, and then no one's there, and it becomes a problem. I rather just know what is tried and true and doesn't base on what is popular at the time.
Well,
One more question,
wow.
this retirement plan. When, especially if you are a small business or if you are a medium class person that's working every day. So you don't really think about my retirement or how I'm gonna do this. I don't have enough money to do it. Because sometimes when you talk to a financial advisor, this person talks to you about having hundreds of thousands of dollars. So you get discouraged because you say, I cannot do it. Eh, But I think that everybody can do it.
Oh,
Need
100%.
to have the planning part, like organize whatever income you have. What would you recommend to a medium class person that's trying to see what they can do when they retire?
I would recommend if you're in a middle class and you're kind of struggling with that, I don't have this much extra income here to do this. I would first, disability insurance is going to be your key thing because if you're injured or you're sick and you can't work for several months, then that's income that's not coming in anymore, and you want to make sure you're protecting that income. The other thing is, I would highly recommend starting with a life policy. I would get an IUL, or if the premiums are too high for that, at least get a term policy that can transition into an IUL so that you have a policy in protection in case of death, so that your family has something in case of death. And then you can transfer it into an IUL once your income is kind of growing a little bit and you have that extra cash. And then while you're working towards that goal, work with your financial planner on how to build up that income and build up those investments so that you do have that money for retirement and for those policies so that you can protect it.
You mentioned about transfer the life insurance. Can you do that?
Yes, you can. So there are certain, not all term policies transition into IULs, but there are certain companies that do it. MetLife does it, Allianz does it, and a couple of others. They will have term policies specifically. You do have to tell your planner or your insurance agent to have a term life that has the rider for transitioning to an IUL.
That's interesting.
Very
What's
cool.
IUL?
That's indexed universal life.
Basal is like dictionary here.
She is. Wow.
Well, one of the problems that sometimes people get discouraged about getting the life insurance, and I talk because people come so every day to the chamber and they tell a different thing. Is the time, because you have your life insurance, but the expiration date of that is 10 years. So after 10 years, you have to renew, and then based on your age, they
Yeah.
charge more.
Right.
We find in the market a lifetime insurance that doesn't expire, or if you have to renew, it doesn't take in consideration the age, or what would you recommend in that case?
So there are policies that actually will transfer from term life to whole IUL without the re-evaluation. So you take the evaluation you did in the prior when you got your term life, and it will transfer that over into IUL, and the policy will just be smaller. And then you can get a second policy to make the difference of what you want income wise and death benefit wise to complete that. So you can have two IULs, your term life transitions into one with the same rate that you were getting before, and then you get a second one to complete that. And that one will have a reevaluation.
Wow, that's so interesting. Al, any questions? We can
What
be
do
here
you?
hours talking about this.
I'm in awe. Basal should be one of our speakers. I told you.
In Vegas.
You mean like
In
Ainara
Vegas, you're
in
going to
San
see this.
Francisco?
Basal's going to be the star in Las Vegas. We're going to do so much promotion. You want it?
And you know what? I'm going
Retire?
to ask Jonathan to share some images and videos of Bazal, because changing
Yes.
a little bit the subject, which is very important to talk about this retirement
Yes.
plan and all the options that you have available. But also, let me tell you about Bazal, because you see Bazal here like a dictionary. She knows all the answers, but she's very talented in other ways as well, because she's a
Yes.
very good speaker and presenter. So we have Bazal in how many cities? Bazal, you were in Miami, and
Yes.
then for sure you were in Puerto Rico. You were
San
in
Francisco and Dallas.
San Francisco. So she was a rock star in San Francisco.
She is a
Everybody
rock star.
talked Bazal, right?
Yep.
And in Puerto Rico, that was very interesting because everybody thought that Bazal was Latina.
Yes.
Everybody was talking to her in Spanish, starting with me.
Yes.
And then she was
That's right.
she got so used to that, then she started saying, yes, see. How about your background, Bazal? You are originally, well, you're American, you were born in the
Yeah.
US, but your family is from where?
I'm half Indian, half Pakistani, so I'm a mix of both. Yeah, so I get, I guess I have a part of me that has that Indian personality, Indian culture, and then I have that Pakistani side and Pakistani culture.
That's awesome, right? And I remember in
What
Puerto
a
Rico, you
what a
were also wearing
combination.
the Halloween stuff for Mexico,
Yeah.
right? So everybody was talking to you in Spanish because you had the flowers and the dress. That was very funny.
I love holidays. I love dressing up for all of them. I think even in social media, you can usually see that I'll have like the Valentine's Day hearts, and Prince will
Yes.
be matching with me,
Yeah.
and we do Halloween. We usually, I think that was right around Halloween time, so I wore my Halloween stuff there. But I usually, yeah, I'll have a huge Halloween party at my house every year. So
Basal
I
Wow.
love
also was
that.
on the cover for our Women in Business magazine. If I'm not mistaken, you were on the cover with your dog.
Yes.
So that's very important, okay? The dog is a member family.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
He's our
He's gonna
mascot.
he's
He's
gonna
actually
have
starting
his
his
own
own business.
business, right? He's
Yeah, he's
starting his
gonna
own
start his
business.
own business soon. He's gonna have ebooks that he's gonna start selling. So
your
he'll
father,
be his own little entity soon.
your father is the founder of the organization, but also somehow is your partner because
Yeah.
you're learning everything from him, right?
Yeah, so he has his own CPA firm and we work off the same office. And it's actually really nice because I get to see how he works with clients. I get to see his expertise and his understandings on a lot of things. Uh, and he guides me. I'm working on my CFP. I have my exam in July. So hopefully, fingers crossed, by then I'll be CFP. But
Yeah.
yeah, it helps a lot just because he is our expert in our company, but it's great just because I feel like his experiences, his stories teaches me a lot. He'll tell me stories of his own personal experiences. So like my mom not getting her policy paid out, what were the issues with that policy?
Wow.
What, you do differently for our clients, estate planning, what issues other people have faced within our community that we experienced that my dad helped with when he got their trust
Mm.
set up, why it's so important what to do what we do, and kind of also he brings me into these groups, into these circles of other financial planners and other people in the financial industry, and I get to learn a lot. And one of the main things that I see all the time, and I really want to emphasize, is our groups are mainly white men
Oh,
within the
wow.
financial industry. But as common as that is, not every client female needing expertise. There are cultural nuances when it comes to investing and into financial planning. And I feel like having that representation within the industry is super important. Having
Yes.
women of color, having people of color in the industry, not just existing, but also participating in these groups, so like NIFA, WIFS for women in the financial industry. I think it's imperative because it gives us a voice within the circle of people that are making the rules and regulation within the financial industry. Because if you have one group of people making decisions for everybody without knowing the experiences or the struggles of everybody, and they're the ones making the regulations and working with the politicians, the issue that happens is not everyone's voice is being heard. But what happens is when we're a minority, we kind of fear speaking up in these kind of circles or joining those circles because we feel like we don't belong. But they're very welcoming. First of all, I've been having so much fun with WIFS. We're doing kickboxing actually in a week or two, I think. And they welcome new people. They welcome your insight. NIFA welcomes you. I think joining those circles, having your voice, speaking up, giving your input, and participating in the lobbying of regulations in behalf of people within your own community, and knowing that, hey, these are some cultural struggles that we face with, and these are some of the financial issues we struggle with the policies and the services that are available right now, the regulations that are here right now, and these are the changes we need to see for our clients and our community to be served better. I think that is the most important thing in the world. And I think that is, you guys see me everywhere. And I think that's why, because I feel like we're just not seen enough. And we need to be seen more and we need to be heard more so that people know that we're here too and we are representing every day, every single moment.
And what you're saying is very important to develop all this branding and promotion and for the community, for the business community, the multicultural business community, understand more about what you do is very important because sometimes we don't know who to trust. And like you said, the industry can be just, determined by one specific, I would say, ethnicity, but it's not necessarily like that. So that's why we have the Women Business Network, because we want to empower women worldwide. We want to teach them that they can belong and they can be part of this sisterhood. Talking about that, if you want to learn more about what Basal has in mind for you, if you want to learn more about what Basal can do for you, because you heard in this 30-minute interview just a little bit of all the things that she can do and help you with. Visit her website. We're going to be sharing on the screen her contact information. But if you want to see in person, if you want to see Basal in person, don't miss the global convention that we're going to have in Las Vegas this
Yes.
October. It's going to be 4-day convention from October 23rd to October 26th. Las Vegas, we're going to have a fantastic time, not just with Basal and her presentation, but also we have prepared several things. We have a business expo. We're going to have 2 days of conference. We also have a VIP tour. So all our delegates are going to be going with us and, just hanging around the city, beautiful Las Vegas. I love it. I'm already excited about that. But also we have a very important celebration in this convention, which is the recognition of successful women in business. We're going to be recognizing 100 successful women in business from different countries, different backgrounds. You cannot miss this event. Remember, October 23rd to 26th is going to be in Las Vegas. We're going to be sharing the information. Jonathan is going to put all the contact information there if you want to if you want to participate, or if you want to nominate your name as a successful winner. Out.
I think that Basal is just a small example of the type of women that we surround ourselves with at all of our events. She's a dynamo. She is the leader. She's a cheerleader. She gets everybody riled up. And she actually is a host because she interviewed everybody in Puerto Rico. I mean, she does everything. I don't know how she got so much talent, but
And energy.
uh, I'm telling you, it's her father.
It is actually, yeah. I actually was featured in a magazine recently, and one of the questions they had asked me is where I get my inspiration from. And I think that's like the first time. I don't know if I mentioned it in the magazine that I was in with you guys, but my whole family, even my grandparents, were trailblazers. My grandpa on my dad's side, he documented that divide and that transition from India to Pakistan. He documented and videographed the whole thing.
Wow.
My grandma was a teacher and she did some amazing things. My grandpa from my mom's side, he started Boy Scouts in Pakistan and he ran that.
Well,
Wow.
Uh, my grandpa from my
amazing.
dad's side actually created a whole new community for people who were struggling so that they could get new jobs and new careers and better lifestyles and living styles because our religious leader gave him that instruction. And so he got a group of people together and they built. So I had visited Pakistan back in 2020 and I got to see like this huge like apartment complex community of like 4 or 5 buildings that my grandpa was part of
Wow.
building and creating in this community that they created. And then of course my own parents in New York created a lot of the events and a lot of the structures with their friends that is now national and international that are very well known within our community for making a difference in people's lives and making that, change. My dad actually was part of the group that created a badge, a Boy Scouts badge that
Wow.
Really?
included.
I have to interview you that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you
we should
should.
interview you
He's
that.
very interesting. You just have to
Yes.
know what to ask.
Oh, you coach us.
He
You
won't
coach us.
tell he won't tell you his like interesting stories. He'll stick to like the business side unless you ask the right questions and you're like,
Ah,
"Okay, but what about that thing?" And then he'll tell
well,
you
you have
about
to
it.
be in the interview with us to help us coach
Yeah.
us.
Oh,
I love it.
100%.
Okay, so right now we only have a tiny flavor and taste of our organization and our events, and everywhere we go, Marcel is the hit of the show. Everywhere, her personality, everybody comes around her. She makes friends. I mean, everywhere she goes, she has friends. I don't know how she does it, but
Have
she
fun. We'll
is.
have a great time.
We have a great time. We go out to eat. This is what it's all about. Relationships. It's not just about what you know; it's who you are, Bazal.
Yes.
And you are a perfect example of a successful women entrepreneur. I'm
Thank you.
very, very proud to know you.
Thank you so much. I love having every time I tell my dad, we have so much fun when we're together. Uh and all of us speakers, we become like great friends. We
Yes.
hang out. I'm still in touch with all the friends that I made in Puerto Rico. I'm still in touch
Imagine.
with our friends from Dallas and
Yeah.
San Francisco. I talk to like almost all of them actually, and it's really nice, to kind of know who's showing up to which event. We kind of plan it out sometimes. We're like, "Hey, are you going? Maybe we can all
I love
go.
it.
We can all
I
attend."
love it.
So it's fun and I think it's great. I think it's a good environment for
It is.
networking just for everybody because not only do you get to create this group of people with like-mindedness, but it is a very free-flowing, open, safe environment that you don't feel self-conscious. So if you're a little scared to talk to new people, this is the type of place where everyone's super friendly. Al's super friendly, Maria's super friendly.
Me.
Um, and it's very easy to get along with everybody. It's very easy to make friends. And it's very easy to network and kind of learn something and actually teach something. Even if you're just attending, sometimes you might have an experience or a story that us speakers can take away from and maybe be like, hey, this is something that we want to address and this is something that we want to change. And maybe this is something that we have the tools and the reach to do so.
I think that says it all. I mean, I couldn't put it better. Uh, I think, like they say, behind every great man, there's a woman. But in your case, behind every great woman, there's your dad. So it goes back. So we appreciate you so much.
Yeah, unfortunately, we have to go. But this is, like I said, just the beginning of a lot of things that we can learn from Bazal. Again,
Mm,
remember, if you want to see Bazal in person, don't miss this event October 23, 26. For the ones that are not going to be able to attend because you live in another country and you cannot travel or you have something else, remember that we're going to also be doing stream live. And so in that case, you don't miss anything, right, Al?
right. And also through the magazine, you get to know because we keep all the past issues. So you get to know Basel through one of the issues where Basel was featured. You can learn about Basel all the time because we always talking about Basel everywhere.
Hey. Thank you so much, everybody. Bazal, again, thank you. For everybody that's watching this interview today, have a good day.
Thank you.
Wonderful.
Bye bye.
See you in Las Vegas.
See you in Vegas.
Okay. Bye bye.